There are stories so dark, so unnerving, that even television looks away. These are not your average crime shows. These are the documentaries that make seasoned investigators shiver, that haunt your thoughts long after the screen goes dark. Stories buried by institutions, pain too raw for prime time. This is a countdown of 10 documentaries too disturbing for mainstream TV. Documentary 1, Dear Zachary, A Letter to a Son About His Father, 2008. At first it looks like a love letter, a grieving friend documenting the life of his murdered friend Andrew Bagby for Andrew's unborn son Zachary. But what unfolds is anything but a tribute. After Andrew is unalived by his ex-girlfriend Shirley Turner, a new nightmare begins. Shirley flees to Canada. She's pregnant with Zachary. The documentary transforms into a legal thriller, a psychological autopsy, and a slow-burning tragedy. The Canadian justice system fails again and again, until the unthinkable happens. You don't just watch Dear Zachary, you live through it. And you never forget why it's disturbing. Unfiltered grief, systemic failure, and a devastating final act. Viewers are often left emotionally wrecked. Documentary 2, The Act of Killing, 2012. In Indonesia, men who led death squads during the anti-communist purge of the 1960s are national heroes. In The Act of Killing, they're asked to reenact their crimes, in the style of their favorite movie genres, gangster, western, musical. What emerges is an utterly surreal horror. These men brag, pose, and giggle, as they reconstruct the mass killings of their past. But as the camera rolls, cracks begin to form, and one man, Anwar Congo, starts to unravel. No gore, no bodies, just the monsters behind the curtain, and the chilling realization, they're still out there celebrated. Why it's disturbing, it forces you to confront evil, perform joyfully, unapologetically until conscience catches up, far too late. Documentary 3, The Girl in the Picture, 2022. She was beautiful, blonde, young, but no one knew her name. When she was killed in a hit and run, the lies began to unravel. Her name wasn't what she claimed. Her father wasn't her father. And what followed was a decades-long nightmare of manipulation, kidnapping, and abuse by one of the most sadistic criminals ever documented. Franklin Floyd didn't just destroy lives, he erased them. He crafted identities, buried pasts, and committed unspeakable acts in the shadows of suburbia. The Girl in the Picture is a puzzle, a horror story, and a reminder. Some predators hide in plain sight. Why it's disturbing? Because it's real. Because it happened over decades, and because for years no one asked the right questions. Documentary 4, The Keepers, from 2017. Sister Kathy Sesnick was a beloved teacher in Baltimore. In 1969 she vanished. Her body was found months later in a remote field. The case went cold, but her former students never forgot. Decades later they began investigating on their own, only to uncover a web of abuse, cover-ups, and institutional betrayal that extended far beyond a single murder. What happened at Archbishop Keough High School is almost too monstrous to believe. Priests protected predators, victims were silenced, and those who tried to speak up, discredited or ignored. Why it's disturbing? It's the silence, the way systems protect evil, and the victims who had to become detectives just to be heard. Documentary 5, Cropsey, from 2009. Kids on Staten Island told ghost stories about a man named Cropsey, a boogeyman who lived in the woods, who took children. But then children actually started disappearing. And the line between myth and reality blurred. This documentary investigates the case of Andre Rand, a convicted sex offender believed to be connected to multiple child disappearances. He lived in the ruins of an old mental institution. He abducted kids with disabilities, and he might not have acted alone. Cropsey is eerie, intimate, and disturbing, not just because of what happened, but because it could happen anywhere. Why it's disturbing? It takes your childhood fears and shows you they were never imaginary. Documentary 6, There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane, from 2011. July 2009. 8 people, including 4 children, are killed in a horrific wrong-way crash. Diane Schuler, a mother and perfect wife, drove nearly 2 miles in the wrong direction, at 85 miles per hour. Toxicology reports reveal alcohol and THC in her system, but her family insists that wasn't Diane. The documentary doesn't just seek answers, it exposes a terrifying truth, that sometimes even the people closest to us carry secrets we may never fully understand, and denial can be deadlier than the truth. Why it's disturbing? It confronts the fragility of identity, trust, and the stories families tell themselves to survive trauma. Documentary 7, Who Took Johnny, 2014. In 1982, 12-year-old Johnny Gosch vanished while delivering newspapers in West Des Moines, Iowa. He was one of the first faces on a milk carton, but no one expected what would come next. His mother, Noreen Gosch, would go on to claim he was abducted into a pedophile ring with government ties. Sound unbelievable? So did many, until more victims came forward with eerily similar stories. Who Took Johnny peels back layers of a case that twists into the world of child trafficking, secret networks, and official silence. Why it's disturbing? Because you walk away asking, what if she's right? Documentary 8, The Family I Had, 2017. Imagine a 13-year-old child committing the unthinkable, killing his 4-year-old brother. That's the reality at the heart of The Family I Had. Paris Bennett didn't just snap, he planned it. He wanted to hurt his mother, and the best way, he said, was to take her other child. The documentary explores the aftershock, a mother still raising her son's killer, trying to reconcile love with betrayal. Interviews are raw, sometimes cold. You witness the hollow ache of a mother who forgives what many never could. And you're left with a terrifying question. Is evil born? Or made? Why it's disturbing. It forces you to empathize with a family that lives in emotional limbo, where love and horror coexist. Documentary 9, The Nightmare, 2015. Not a crime documentary, but a psychological one. The Nightmare explores sleep paralysis, where the mind is awake but the body is frozen, and shadowy figures creep into the room. The accounts are terrifying, the recreations brutal. And the fact that this happens to thousands around the world, that's what's truly chilling. Many sufferers describe identical visions, shadow men, demons, suffocation. Is it a brain glitch or something darker? Why it's disturbing? Because it makes sleep, the place we go for peace, feel unsafe. And once you've watched it, good luck closing your eyes. Documentary 10, I Love You, Now Die, 2019. In 2014, Conrad Roy was found dead in his car from carbon monoxide poisoning. He was 18. Days later, investigators found texts from his girlfriend, Michelle Carter. You just need to do it. You keep pushing it off. You said you were gonna do it. Suddenly, it wasn't just a tragedy. It was a trial. Was Michelle a manipulative villain, or a depressed teen caught in a codependent nightmare? I Love You, Now Die unpacks the legal and moral chaos of digital relationships, mental health, and where responsibility begins and ends. Why it's disturbing. It blurs the line between killer and victim, and forces you to question where empathy belongs. Some of these documentaries were never meant for prime time, not because they lack truth, but because the truth is too much. They show the cracks in our systems, the darkness in our neighbors, and sometimes the monsters within ourselves. But ignoring the darkness doesn't make it go away. It grows in silence. That's why these films matter. Because the disturbing truths, they demand to be seen. If these stories moved you, if they made you think or feel or even look over your shoulder, don't just stop here. Subscribe for more deep dives into true crime, psychology, and the darkest corners of the human condition. We unpack the stories others won't, and we bring light to what's been buried. Because sometimes, the only way to confront darkness is to face it. Subscribe, share, and stay curious. This is more than crime. This is human nature, unfiltered.